When firearms cannot speak, your hands must. Green Berets train for those moments where silence, control, and decisive action separate mission success from failure. You might think a Green Beret's primary tool is a rifle, but much of their work happens at whispering distance, training foreign forces, conducting sensitive site exploitation, or handling detainees. In those moments, a weapon discharge could compromise intelligence or escalate a situation needlessly. Master Sergeant Kevin R., a 22-year veteran, put it plainly: your hands, your knees, your awareness become your primary weapon until you need something else. That means you must be proficient in controlling a person without causing permanent harm, yet capable of ending a threat instantly if required. This dual requirement, precision under pressure, defines Special Forces unarmed combat. You are not training for a tournament. You are training for those seconds where a firearm is not an option, and your body must execute a mission without a sound. The foundation of Green Beret combatives traces back to World War II. William Fairbairn and Eric Sykes developed a brutally pragmatic system for British commandos and the OSS. Fairbairn's instruction was direct: kill your enemy in the shortest possible time using anything available: teeth, fingers, improvised weapons. American units like the 1st Special Service Force and Rangers blended boxing, wrestling, and dirty fighting. When the Army established Special Forces in 1952, they inherited this eclectic legacy. However, through the 1950s to 1970s, training remained inconsistent, dependent on individual instructors' backgrounds in judo or karate. The turning point came in the 1980s, when operators began testing martial arts against resisting opponents. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu exposed weaknesses in traditional systems. This empirical approach forced a reckoning. If a technique fails against a trained grappler, you discard it. In 2002, the Army formalized the Modern Army Combatives Program, or MACP, built on 4 philosophical pillars that directly reflect Special Forces realities. First, you must address ground fighting because most real fights end on the ground, and operators work in confined spaces where takedowns happen. Second, you rely on leverage over strength. You may be injured, fatigued, or fighting a larger opponent during detainee operations. Third, every technique must work under full resistance against a resisting opponent wearing gear. Fourth, the system must be learnable and retainable. You cannot spend years mastering complex forms. Training time is limited, so techniques must be simple enough to learn quickly but robust enough to execute under stress. These pillars ensure you train for actual combat, not for a gym or a dojo. MACP organizes training into 4 tiers, each building on the previous one. You start with basic combatives, fundamental positions, escapes, and submissions from the ground. This is your foundation. At Tier 2, you learn to close the distance, deliver strikes, and transition to grappling. Tier 3 introduces weapons retention and defense against armed opponents. Tier 4 integrates everything into scenario-based training with full gear and realistic mission contexts. This tiered structure mirrors how you learn any skill: crawl, walk, run. You do not practice advanced submissions before you can escape mount. You do not attempt knife defense before you can control a clinch. Each tier demands proficiency before you advance. This ensures you build competence systematically, not haphazardly. Consider a typical mission. You must control a potential source without escalating to deadly force. You cannot draw a weapon that signals threat. Instead, you use positioning, joint locks, and pressure points to subdue without injury. In close quarters, like clearing a room or moving through a populated area, you may need to neutralize an opponent silently. Your hands must deliver precise strikes to vulnerable targets: throat, eyes, groin, or base of skull. You must also defend against knives or improvised weapons at close range. This is not sport. There are no rules, no referees. You train for the moment when a single mistake costs a life or compromises an entire operation. Every technique you practice must translate directly to that environment. You do not need a large arsenal. Focus on a few high-probability techniques. Start with the rear naked choke. It renders an opponent unconscious quickly and silently. Practice the armbar from guard to control an opponent who postures up. Learn the straight arm lock to force compliance without injury. For striking, master the palm heel strike to the nose or chin. It delivers force without breaking your hand. The knee to the groin or thigh creates instant separation. And always practice the clinch. Collar tie, overhook, and underhook. These positions allow you to control distance, set up takedowns, or deliver strikes. Drill these until they become reflexive. Under stress, you will not think, you will execute what you have trained. You must pressure test every technique against a fully resisting opponent. This is non-negotiable. If it fails in sparring, it will fail in combat. Special Forces operators learned this lesson in the 1980s when BJJ practitioners exposed weaknesses in traditional martial arts. You are a pragmatist. You discard what does not work and keep what does. You adapt techniques to your body type, your gear, and your mission. You train while wearing a plate carrier helmet and weapon. You train in confined spaces, on uneven terrain, in low light. You train until your responses become automatic. This is not about ego or tradition. It is about survival and mission accomplishment. Every repetition builds the neural pathways you will need when the situation demands silent, decisive action. Train with resistance. Test everything. Keep what works. Your hands are your primary weapon until they need to be something else.